Hello and welcome to the Bodysurf Podcast with your Budgy Boys. Just Tim this week as Owie is still in isolation somewhere up the Central Coast. Filling in my co-host for this evening, it's Luke Brbot. How you doing, mate?
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure to be here in Owie's seat, and if he doesn't come home quick, I think I might make myself pretty comfortable, I think.
Well, you know, he's gone away to try and stay safe in this very, very unusual time. Now, the coronavirus has affected all of us. How has it been affecting you?
Mate, it affected me pretty good, I think, or bad, whichever way you want to look at it. I lost both my jobs on the Monday with that. It all got closed down, which is a bit unfortunate, but that's okay. Obviously, bound more to the house now, except for the essential services, which means that I guess my girlfriend sees a lot more of me than she normally does, for starters, which I'm not sure is a good thing. But in saying that, hey, we make the most of it. So get my swim in early in the morning before anyone's really about and the beaches get hit, and get out of there and start your day. So I've got a few passion projects I'm working on at the moment. So unfortunately not getting as many womps as we'd like. Yeah. But in saying that, I think the more we stay inside and abide by the rules, the quicker this will all be over.
Exactly right. Now, the beaches are still technically open. We've been advised to go for a walk and jump in for a swim if you need some exercise. However, not to loiter around the beach, not to go and have a sunbake. Have you still been going to the beach regularly?
So I have been doing a swim early in the morning. Just to roll the shoulders over and to get some exercise in the ocean, but it's in and it's out. So under half an hour trying for and really do it before any sort of, any sort of public congregation has any sort of potential. So I think the thing to do, and it's the important thing, is not to loiter, because generally one seagull with a chip will attract another 100 seagulls. So I think if you are going to do it, I think it's get in, get out, and you know, go do your stuff that you need to do at home.
Absolutely. Now, a few weeks ago, you actually called into the show because numbers at Bate Bay Body Bashers meet up on a Sunday morning were down. Now, this was sort of before the coronavirus had hit. Was there any reason for those numbers to dwindle the way they did?
Oh, I think that our Bate Bay Body Bashers are pretty keen followers of world events, and we're obviously following the Chinese and how that was falling pretty quick with the virus. So I think we were ahead of the trend there. And so we decided to set the example, which our honorary member, Scott Morrison, took to the next level and just decided to put it into legislation. No, but in all seriousness, I think that, some of our founding members have found love. Some of our founding members have moved on to other areas. People are traveling on weekends and that sort of thing. And this is what happens. It comes in floods and droughts, and people just needed to do other things on a Sunday morning. But hey, we are still there once this isolation is lifted. Yeah. And always keen for a little Sunday morning dip, no matter what the conditions. So.
Absolutely. Now, I want to get into the origins of the Bate Bay Body Bashers. Now, you are probably the biggest body surfing club in Australia, if not the world. A few of your mates have actually tuned in. They're watching now. A shout out to Paddy, who's a big-time member of the body surfing community and also the Bate Bay Body Bashers. He's actually been rumoured to, jump ship every now and then.
I know. They call him the wind because he changes.
We would love to have him, but he's an absolute legend and he has been competing with you for a long time.
He has.
Now, you were telling me just before that your numbers are up to well over 100 members.
That's correct. So we're at member number 133.
Shivers.
Who is coincidentally was scheduled to go to the Olympics this year.
Right.
But due to obviously current events, we'll have to just wait another year. But yeah, it's been a great story since we started in 2016, where we initially formed the club purely to bring my brother Luke Brbot home.
Right.
We never knew that body surfing clubs existed, and when my brother was approached by the ESBS to ride with them, we took it firstly as a joke until we found out they were serious. and thought, well, we can't have that. So we set up our own club.
Yeah.
And we held a press conference at Allura Beach. And we had people coming in from all over the world tuning in, and we brought Nick home, and that's how the Bate Bay Body Bashers started.
Right. So we were also talking about the founding members, in which you are one of them. What number does Nick rank in the club?
I believe Nick is number 14.
Right.
And I'm happy to stand corrected, but I'm fairly certain he's 14.
Now, you are technically the number 2 member.
That's number 3. Number 3.
Sorry,
Apologies.
number 3. But this was decided by sort of just pulling straws.
Yeah, essentially. So we had the first 4 members for our first official meetup, which was myself, Matt Schwaghofer, a.k.a. the Mud Shark, Keelan Tracy, a.k.a. Grayscale or Noodles.
Yep.
And Dylan Turner, a.k.a. The Outlaw, who we hosted our first little meetup officially and documented that on Instagram. And we needed to have a number 1, so we simply drew straws.
Yeah.
And The Outlaw, Dylan Turner, came out number 1, Shway number 2, myself number 3, and Keelan number 4.
Yeah, nice. And now those boys are still competing with you. They're still turning up to meets regularly. With this whole coronavirus thing happening, we've been told that possibly some events are not going to happen this year. Were you hoping to sort of compete at Wompoff heading down south? I think you guys have one of the hardest tasks when competing at Wompoff. Wompoff have put in some restrictions on how many people can compete in a team, and last year it was capped at 10. You have over 100 members, so it must be hard putting your top 10 together.
It is tough. It is tough, but I think we've won our Wompoff, which is it's nice to say.
Yeah.
Albeit, I think that was the biggest surprise I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
But I also, as much as the restrictions are there, it's also there to grow the sport and grow other clubs. Mm-hmm. And I think last year, where we were able to have members competing for different teams to help out, I think that was really, really nice to see as a founding member, to actually see people helping each other out and allowing other teams to enjoy the day as well. Because I think it's great that you have, teams from all over the country, all over the world. And you know what? If you need help from a mate will be there for you. So.
Well, yeah, we actually we got a bit of a hand really from some of the Bate Bays. Layla and Troy helped us out, which was incredible. And they really stepped up on the day and gave us a bit of a boost. However, yes, let's talk about that day, the most historic day in probably Bate Bay's history of you guys taking out the title of Wompoff. Now, it was 2 or 3 years ago.
2017.
Yep, and it was down south.
It was down south. It was at what is it? Not Thirroul?
Yeah,
was it Thirroul?
I don't know. Woofo told me where it was last week. I think it slipped my tongue, but
Austinmere.
That's right, Austinmere. And now was this might have been the first Wompoff.
No, that was the second Wompoff. Second Wompoff.
So you guys took out the top spot.
We did.
Which meant we were able to bring Wompoff to Cronulla, which was incredible to have it here. And that was the first time the Budgy Boys actually competed. It was great to compete at our home ground, thanks to you guys bringing it home. But that day was interesting, wasn't it?
It was great.
Cronulla.
It was Lake Cronulla, as it's been labelled.
Well, another question I wanted to ask you is why Gate 8? Where you guys meet up at Wanda every Sunday morning.
That's correct.
Why did you decide to make that your home ground?
I think it's fairly consistent in the Cronulla Beach, the bay that is, and Gate 8, ample parking. You're away from the surf clubs as well. So you have, if the nippers turn up early or the surf boats, you're out of their way. And it's just a nice little congregating area that you can kind of meet up there. We started there initially purely on wave consistency.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of developed into, let's make it simple. Let's make it easy for people. And that's what we've done. So, you do have Gate 8. The Champions Gate, as many people call it, and they just know that it's Sunday 7:30 Gate 8. It's just, it's got the same ring about it as going to church on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So that's why we have Gate 8. It started with consistency, and then it just developed into this is us.
Now, I've actually attended 2 of your meets.
Yes.
One, the first time I came, I was actually sent on a bit of a spy mission to see what you guys were up to. I don't think you actually spotted me. You may have. I was just sort of floating around doing some little spins here and there. It was, again, a lovely flat day at Wanda Beach. And then recently I came and had a swim with you, and it was a pretty good turnout. I was putting my hand up for wave of the sesh, wave of the meet. I'm not sure who won that day. Is that a consistent award that you hand out?
Yes, so we do hand out a wave of the day and a GERT award, which are the kook of the day. And we really make an effort. There is always a wave of the day or both awards, and that's just a bit of fun. I mean, the committee gets together behind closed doors and picks, and it's all revealed on Instagram generally an hour and a half later after a much enjoyable bacon and egg roll at our favourite loaf after every meetup. So it's one of the little gimmicks that, if it brings a smile to someone's face, and every now and then you actually get someone bragging about it, and you're like, mate, you're kidding, right? But hey, it brings happiness to people, and that's why we do it.
Well, the thing is, Wanda is super consistent. Yeah, and I think I put my hand up for it a few times. But you actually had a surf by yourself recently because no one rocked up.
I did.
And I don't think you actually got the wave of the day. You didn't award it to yourself when you were the only one in the running.
Well, the committee, none of the committee were there, I guess.
Right. So it is an official thing. It has to be voted on.
It has to be voted on. We do have different members that vote on it, but that's all I can give you.
All right. Now, before we get into your narrative and your backstory into how you got into body surfing, we should pretty quickly just touch on the Bate Bay merch. This is a big part of your crew, and you guys have stacks of stuff that you can anyone purchase this gear?
Absolutely. Anyone can purchase any merchandise they wish with certain conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain bits of merchandise that we like to restrict to members. So our navy shirts, be it short sleeve, long sleeve, or the golf polo, are for members only.
Okay.
And that is members only, and for any sponsors.
Right.
We're happy to indulge that. But the other merchandise, so let's say our stubby holders or the socks or some of the hoodie range, that sort of thing. Obviously, you need to come through myself, my brother Nick, or any of the other executive members.
Yep.
And as a general rule, we'll allow it. It's just the shirts are for members.
All right. Well, these are lovely, and these can obviously be purchased by anyone. But you've brought over some Bate Bay Body Bashing socks. You informed me that there's a left and a right.
There is a left,
here.
yes, there is a left and a right foot actually designed in the sock. It's probably the most comfortable sock I've ever worn in my life. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we do have the blue and the white, and that's available to anyone. So if you really want to get a hold of a pair, just let me know. But once again, it's all about making it fun. And look, the thing is with socks, if they're all the same or just a little bit different, then it's always hard to match them up together.
Yeah. But
if you've got them, well, there's no chance of someone else grabbing your socks.
That's
so there's a bit of practical element to it as well.
Now, why the socks? It's always hard picking what merch you want, and there's not a lot of actual body surfing merch out there besides your keels and then maybe a hooded towel. There's not much else you need in terms of merch for body surfing, so everything else is kind of a luxury.
It's a luxury. It's a social range as well. I think especially you guys on the Saturday, and you have your shirts and you have your really good looking keels as well, and you have them, and look, it just brings people together. And so for us, it is all a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And the more we can kind of have a laugh about it. I mean, we've even got golf balls now, so it's pretty cool to just be able to give something, a novelty, a gift, or to have something just a little bit novelty. And whenever we have people from around the world come to join, even for one swim or whatever, we hook them up with a hat or with something, and then down the track, they'll go back home, and we've got friends in Norway that will take photos, in the fjords with their hat on. We had my favourite photo of the lot is one of our members, Mark Donaldson, VC. He walked into Buckingham Palace in full military regalia with a Bate Bay Body Bashers hat in his hand, and there's a photo of him out the front with his hat on.
Nice,
So
nice.
it's novelty, but then when it gets to that level, you're like, hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think someone shanked one of those Bate Bay golf balls at Woolooware Golf Club because one just, veered right off that par 5 and hit me car the other day, actually.
Oh, you're kidding.
But that's the thing. You never put your name on a golf ball because someone's going to find it. Cool. Well, let's get into your story and how you got involved in body surfing. Stab in the dark, if I was to take a guess. Is there some connection with water polo and body surfing?
There is. So the whole body surfing experience for myself, along with a lot of the early Bate Bay members, where we were all water polo players that would train early on a Sunday morning at Sutherland.
Yep. And
when we'd finish training, we get a chicken wrap from the Woolooware Bakery and then hop down to the beach and have a bit of a body bash, not knowing it was a thing. And so we did that. I mean, I'm 28 now. We did that since we were maybe 15, 16. So a fair while back. And you always saw these lone wolves out with a bit of kit. The teabaggers, for example, they've been around longer than I've been alive, I think, around Wanderway. And we always had it as a bit of fun, but never knew it was really a thing until Ricky and the ESBS boys tried to get my brother. Yeah. And that's when we went, holy crap, this is legitimate. Yeah. So let's just get ridiculous about it.
So when did you get ridiculous about it? When did you start buying some gear and start, charging some sort of more interesting or bigger swell?
Right. Yeah. Once again, I'd probably say Nick would have been the pioneer of that. His first time at Cape Solander, I would say that opened a lot of our eyes to what you can actually be capable of with body surfing. Yeah. At the same time, you had Ricky, who, was really the first guy that I saw in full kit, I guess, with the fins, with the right hand plane, in a wetsuit, and charging some pretty gnarly stuff. So I probably put it down to, we started to get serious and get our members kind of going, hold on, we can actually hit some serious waves here. I'd probably say it'd probably be maybe 6 months before we won the Womp Off. Yeah. Where we just went, this is legitimate. Let's give it a go.
Yeah. And the thing about you guys, and something I've noticed watching Bate Bay Body Surfers, is you guys are very consistent. You guys can catch some decent waves, but you are also tricksters, and you can pull out some stuff out of your back pocket, and you step up for things like Womp Off. And I think that's because you come from this water polo background where you're all very strong, capable swimmers, but also you love mucking around in maybe smaller surf, things like Wander Beach, where, hey, there's not much swell, why don't we try and do some silly stuff? And that comes through, especially when you rock up to competitions and there's not much surf, you can pull out all these little tricks. Yeah. Did you happen to catch Owi's water polo stunt at Womp Off last year?
Wow, I did catch Owi's.
Did you like that one?
I enjoyed that. At the end of the day, like you gotta make your own fun, and you also got to, in competitions where, especially when you have the tricks and that sort of thing, it's like, well, why not do something that no one's ever done before? Because then you got nothing to measure it against, and you're always going to get a good chance of pulling a good score and having a laugh about it while it happens. So I think if you recall, we had our president, Matt Schwaghofer, go full commando from one of the waves, which, look, once again, it's a bit of fun, but hey, I think it actually got him some good points.
I think so as well.
So you got to be creative. Yeah. Especially on the tricky rides, and being water polo players, we're scallywags, so we're used to not wearing much. So it comes second nature to us that you put us in a cozy, and we'll do some of our best work.
Now, you were mentioning your brother hits up Cape a lot, and he's one of the guys. Probably him and Ricky and even maybe Spurlow, like they sort of put that spot on the map for body surfers. It's definitely a spot I wouldn't have thought about going when I started this sport, but now it's something a lot of the Budgy Boys are talking about doing. Our co-captain Jesse was able to surf it recently. I'm sure Owie will hit it up soon. But is it something you've ever thought about doing? Have you surfed it?
I have never surfed it. I'm a Kernel local.
Yeah.
My brother and I used to ride up there on our bikes and watch like the dons of surfing hit it when it was on. I remember I think it was I'm going to say about 2011 or 12. It was the era where Kelly Slater wore the grey wetsuit.
Okay.
And they had like one of the first Cape Fear competitions then, and they actually fenced off Cape Solander. So you couldn't, as a member of the public, go and watch.
Wow.
And it was pumping. And my brother and I, being locals, we know our way in to Cape Solander pretty well. So we kind of ducked around a few bushes and managed to get in, and we watched some of the best surfing of our lives. At the same time, I've always known Cape Solander as the wave. We used to have Marco Calupo live 2 doors down from us.
Right.
And that was when we were young. So I've always seen it and seen it at its best and at its gnarliest.
Yeah.
But to think, I've also been spearfishing there, and I've also been fishing there. And look, I'll tell you now, you're not alone in that water.
Yeah.
Oh, you are not alone. I think one of my brother's early videos to someone, and you see a man in a grey suit riding the wave, and I went, no thank you. But in saying that, I'm going to give it a crack soon. Yeah. Absolutely. Once this is all over, we'll give it a crack.
Yeah. Well, what are some of the, like, I'm guessing you're keen on just surfing locally in Cronulla. Are there any other spots that you've gone to that you really enjoy? Where's sort of the biggest surf you've explored?
I would say the biggest and best body surf I have ever had was at Mystics.
Oh, yes.
That was sent from above. It was winter time, so it was freezing cold.
Yeah.
Myself, Dylan Turner, Ando, Cole went down and did a morning pretty much by ourselves. And it was magnificent. It was, 6 to 8, these lefts that literally it felt like you were falling off a building.
Yeah.
And it was, I would say, just the whole experience of Mystics for me, that was probably, it's the best body surf I've ever had. I've had some really fun days at Maroubra as well, which on the right swell gets some pumping waves.
Oh, yeah.
Out at Voodoo as well.
Oh, cool.
I got a nice little reminder on my knee about Voodoo, which I got probably 2 years ago now, and it's still like this big scar down my leg.
Yeah.
Where my brother, myself, Dill, and Ricky were out.
Cool.
And one of the first waves, I just hit a rock bad and just split my knee open.
Shivers.
And I was like, far out. But the surf was amazing. And we kept going until the point where one of the boys got a wave and then hit it well and then stood up on the reef.
Yeah.
And we could see kneecap, and we went, all right, guys, that's enough. We got to get out.
As a local Cornelian, do you explore those reefs a fair bit?
Not as much as I'd like, but the times I have been out there, it's been fun. Like, it's a different wave.
Yeah.
It's a really different wave. When you're used to your sand breaks, these things build.
Yeah.
And you'll see it when you're out at Island or at the Point or those reefs out there. It comes out of nowhere. Yeah. So your whole positioning as to your takeoff is a completely different spot. So, especially if you're a good swimmer or kicker, you can really build on a beach wave, but you need to know your spot on the reef.
Absolutely. Going back to Mystics, that's actually one of my favourite breaks as well. However, we've got to be careful what we say about it, because the South Coast body surfers don't like us talking about it too much. I don't know why, because it's a pretty well-known spot.
I would think so too.
It's on the map.
Yeah.
But I was keen to sort of take Womp off there. However, it isn't far south enough for Ricky. Ricky wants to take it further and try and help somewhere that's been affected by bushfires.
Mm-hmm.
However, we don't know what's going to happen with Womp off. Ricky's going to hopefully come on the show and make a comment soon. But yeah, I'm keen to go anywhere. And for the Bate Bay Boys, it's just a short car ride away. We're so lucky to live in Sydney and live in the the south side of Sydney. Really, we can just head down south whenever we want and explore these amazing beaches. And something the the Budgy Boys are doing is we sort of check what the swell's like and go, hey, why don't we go Stanley? Why don't we go Wollongong? Why don't we check down south rather than go to Cronulla this morning? Now, you guys probably don't have that luxury, because you have a lot of people relying on you to meet up at the same place every Sunday.
Yeah.
You were telling me the most important part, and boy, you guys love a photo, but you were saying the most important part of your catch-ups is putting your Instagram post up every Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's purely just to get people along.
Exactly right. It's to encourage non-body surfers and people who are looking for community or looking for someone to, or a group of people who are like-minded and enjoy the water, to get them to come down and don't be shy. And that's really important, a really important sort of credo that we run in the club, is to actually have, a diverse bunch of people. If you're 70, if you're 10, if you're a woman, man, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. We're happy to have anyone. And if you want to learn, we'll teach you. If you don't want to learn, that's fine. If you want to, if you want to wear the best kit, no problem. If you just want to hop in your sluggos and have a bit of fun, that's okay too. Yeah. So I think for us, it's all about community, and it's about inviting people in.
Absolutely, man. Now, while we're talking about your, origin story, and you were telling us about how Ricky definitely helped you guys get involved, and your brother was sort of your brother was being wooed by the boys from the East, but you eventually started your own club. When you started to get serious, what did you start gathering in terms of gear? What's in your floppy bucket now?
Wow, so my floppy bucket, I don't actually have a floppy bucket. I've got the Silver Bullet, which is my car, and that boot is dominated by fins and airplanes. Right. Yeah. So I rely on War. War is, for me, my first ever hand plane from War was a Fish Oregon, which doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And I kid you not, that was like the Elder One of hand planes for me. That was the best hand plane I have ever used, and I lost it. I lost it in bad surf at Windy Point.
Oh, yes.
And I just wore it, and I looked at it on the rock. I couldn't find the bludger, but it was the best hand plane I've ever had. Yeah. But moving on to, we actually got given a hand plane by Ricky and War when we won the Wump-Off.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And with our little Bate Bay Body Bashers stamp at the bottom, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's cool.
And now I'm on the Bad Fish.
Yep.
So I really enjoy the Bad Fish. I just think it's very practical. It just sits nice. And me being a heavier guy, it does take the weight really well.
Yes.
And then downstairs we're rocking the keels. So Absolutely. The BBB keels, and I've got more cozzies than I've had hot dinners through water polo. So, but the keels are good, really, really good. I highly recommend the whole. I don't mean to bag Budgy Smuggler, but Jesus, what a terrible product.
Well, what Budgy, they're all about the look.
They are.
They're not going to stay on.
No.
If you catch a wave, they're coming right
That's
off.
right.
And they loosen up over time. Where my keels are getting stronger with age.
Yeah,
they're becoming a part of me. They're so snug. So yeah, I absolutely endorse keels, and Wave of the Week sponsored by Keel, and we should get back onto that soon once Owie sorted out his life. But I don't know what he's up to lately. That guy's a total mess. I was telling you before that, we were trying to work out what to do with Owie in isolation, and you were sort of saying, mate, I'll just take over. We don't need him at all. And
mate, shots fired, Owie.
We'll see.
Shots fired.
We'll see if he comes back for between the sets next week. I'm not sure what he's doing, but his life is just very, very messy right now.
Yeah,
it's like he's never been through a pandemic before.
Well, yeah, I know, rookie, huh? Kids these days.
Yeah. So you've got, and then the fins. What
the
sort
fins?
of fins have you got?
I switch between my Dar fins.
Yep.
Which I just think for big waves, and for that to propel onto the waves, I think they're unmatchable. They're brilliant fins.
Yeah,
And then I do also have a pair of Vipers as well, which were kindly sent to me by Viper.
Yeah, cool.
And so for the smaller waves, I'm happy to dabble with them. They're just a little bit more comfortable on the feet. I got a naturally wide foot, so that the fins, after a while, take a bit of a toll on the fat man's foot. But in saying that, I think you can use both. But for me, as a general rule, I run with a defin.
Now, we've opened up the lines here tonight, and we've asked a few people to send through messages and ask you questions. A lot of the Bate Bay boys wanted to stitch you up, and I said, nah, not going to have it. Luke's coming on as a guest. We're going to treat him with the dignity and respect he deserves. However, I need to ask you about one thing, and this has got sent through to me, and it's all it is a hashtag. So it's a trending hashtag, and it's hashtag barbecue chook. Do you have any idea what that's
No.
I believe it might be a reference to some sort of fake tan product.
Oh, yeah.
So do you know who sent this through?
I do know who sent that through.
Who was it, Luke?
I believe that was at Instabulk, because he certainly enjoys talking about my endeavours, not to mention the other person who I will not name. But for those BUE members that do know nicknames, his nickname is the Manatee, so you can work it out. But yeah, look, sometimes, if there's more than one use for most products, like a WD-40, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm not giving you any more.
I have no idea what that means, but it sounds very innuendo-y. All right, well, why don't we open up the phone lines? I'm not sure if this is going to work, but if you want to get in touch with us, give us a call on Instagram right now. We're going live on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, give us a call on Instagram and we'll try and get you guys happening on the podcast. So if you got any questions for Luke, or if you want to stir him up, or if you want to shout out Baba Booey, we'll take your calls live now. So yeah, just video chat us here on at Budgy Boys. Now, Owi's given me access to the Instagram. I'm not very good with social media, so we'll see how this goes. People may have already tried the call, but I don't know how to use this thing.
On Instagram.
Cool.
What a world we live in.
It's crazy. It's crazy what you can do. Now, you were doing some Zoomies tonight, weren't you, Luke?
I was. So a bit of a cross promotion here. We were earlier on this evening. We had our BUE member and good friend Nick Watkins, who's actually running a COVID cravings segment on Instagram which is essentially a vote for the things you miss most, or you're going to miss most about the COVID crisis, I guess. And so things like, whether you'll miss the most, maybe going to a cafe or live sport or whatever it may be. And we just finished the first round of voting. So we had a bit of a live panel discussion regarding that. So next week is the next round. So you'll see the things post up on Watto's Instagram. So give him a follow at NickWatto31 and you can vote, and we'll have a big chat about it on his Instagram next, I believe it might be Saturday morning, but check local guides for further details.
Good stuff. All right, I believe we've got someone on the phone right now. Who have we got there? Hello.
Listen, I'm not copping this. I'm not copping it at all, Timmy.
Copying what, mate?
I'm not copying any of this garbage coming from you and the boy over there. I've had it up to here. I sit back. I'm in isolation. I'm trying to do my bit for society as a whole, and I just get whacked behind the back of the ear for doing nothing. I'm just trying my best.
Well, mate, don't tell me that you're living a hard life. I've seen you out and about in the Central Coast having the time of your life. You're getting the mulch going. You're getting the compost going. You're going for surfs. You're hanging out with your misso. You're eating great food. This is a little mini staycation for you. It's not isolation. It's a staycation.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right there. You're right there, Tim. I am actually quite enjoying my time up here. I'm missing the Bodysurf Podcast family though. It really upsets me that I can't be there tonight. I'm getting a bit emotional actually. I did want to say, Luke, we had a really good time at the Blind Bear not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Now, we were kind of going drink for drink there for a while. Where had you been that night?
Where had I been? Oh.
You came charging in pretty hot.
Oh, yeah.
Owie and I had been up at the RSL punting all afternoon.
I think this sounds like a JD's into Blind... No, stop, hold that. Yeah, it was a JD's into Blind Bear.
So you're scouting some cougars, and then you decided to come on
mate,
over.
Not allowed. I am happily taken. But no, I was at JD's just doing a few arm curls with a couple of libations. And look, I am very comfortable at JD's. I get my steak there and I get my Carlton Dry. And I thought, you know what, I need something sweet just to finish off the evening. And I think after about a couple of dozen schooners turned up at the Bear, and
Yeah.
there you guys were, and we exchanged a few drinks, and that was lovely as well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really enjoyed that.
Yeah, we were pretty toasted. We had a big day. I think it was Australia Day or something, wasn't it? It was
There was some occasion.
we had it a long weekend.
Yes,
so
yes,
Owie
yes.
and I put a few to bed and just went for gold because we didn't have to go to work, I guess, for a while. But I'll tell you what, I'm missing a tap beer, Owie. I could definitely rip the head off a few, eh?
Yeah, well, you're dead right there, Timmy. Now, I'm heavily missing it. You know what I've even started doing? I've started pouring bottled beer into beer glasses.
Yeah, putting your glass in the freezer for about 5 minutes and then just capping one. Lovely.
Yeah, that's right. Now, how is it down there in Sydney? Because up here in the commune, I'm really enjoying it. We're kind of away from everything. We can still go to the beach. Fun fact, actually. Someone got bitten by a shark at Wamberal Beach today.
Shivers.
Jesus.
And I was swimming there yesterday.
Oh, wow. Are they all right?
Yeah, they're okay. I heard that they've just been bitten on the hand.
Okay.
Haven't lost an arm or anything, but it's pretty freaky when you're swimming at a beach.
Absolutely.
And then the next minute, shark takes over.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying it up here, guys, and just checking in, making sure you're doing everything good. I'm actually happy with you, Tim. You've got the phones working tonight and the chat's on.
Yeah, I actually, like at the start of the podcast, I don't know if you noticed, I was trying to work out how to get the chat going because it always stuffs up. I don't know why. But yeah, the phones are working. Everything's working tonight. It's been good.
That's good. All right, well, I'll get off the phone. Hopefully we get some other callers through tonight. There's a lot of chat on the
Heaps
on the
of
live
chat.
Flying, isn't it?
I reckon we get some of your mates, Nick, through to the podcast and give you a little bit of a rev up. What do you reckon?
We'll ignore that Freudian slip.
Oh, look, don't worry, my mother does the same thing.
Well, there's three of you, and you all look eerily similar.
You think?
Well, Nick and yourself look pretty close, and then your younger brother.
Yeah,
how old is your youngest?
The youngest is 9. Oh,
He's just finished
19, yeah,
school,
just
yeah?
finished school.
So-
Just turned 18. So
Yeah.
he's going all right. He's going all right, the young pup. So the Pebble, as he's known. But because I think I'm the rock, my brother's the boulder, and
He's
Mark's
the
the pebble.
Now, is he interested in body surfing?
He does body surf.
Yeah?
He does body surf. Yes, absolutely. He enjoys a womp every now and then, and he sticks to the smaller stuff. But in saying that, he's a very good swimmer as well. So he's pretty comfortable out in the ocean.
Water polo player as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Not anymore, but played all through until he was 18.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Now, was water polo a school sport for you when you were starting out?
It started as a club sport,
Yeah.
so with Cronulla.
Yeah.
So I think I started when I was 10,
Mhm.
or 10. And then where I happened to go to school at Waverley, we
Yeah.
also played water polo
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's always been a club thing,
Yeah.
which has been really good. It's taken me around the world with some of my best mates, so it's been pretty good.
And we should just shout out, someone's listening to us online now, Captain Kookman, one of the best water polo commentators in the game. Have you ever seen him call a game?
I have never heard him call a game, but I think
He's
we'd
very
love to
entertaining.
invite him
Yeah,
down
yeah.
to the Shark Tank, and he can share a microphone with me because that could be pretty deadly.
I think he has caught some games out
Wow,
here. Yeah,
fantastic.
He's very, very good. Anywho, I hope you guys are doing all right. I know it's a very, very interesting time to be alive. We can still womp. That's the good news. We can still go to the beach for now. Some beaches have been closed. I know Manly closed recently, but they reopened it. It seems like a lot of the issues are with those bigger beaches, so Bondi and the eastern suburbs, but there has been no issues at Cronulla. However, say if Cronulla does shut for some reason, if they ramp up the lockdown, maybe it's a time for us to start exploring some other places. And you know, Luke is a local Kernell boy, and he can tell you a lot of stories about some of the fun, sucky, reefy breaks out there that will definitely put some hairs on your chest. So if you want to go and explore some fun beaches, maybe now's the time to do it because, you know, we can't really go to Bondi. We can't really go to Maroubra. We can't really go to Manly. But, hey, you can go to Suck Rock. You can go to Reef 1 or Reef 2. You could go to Cape. No one's going to stop you going to Cape. But if you are going to those places, can I recommend going with some mates? Because it can get a bit heavy.
Yeah.
We've even had an incident where someone got injured before getting into the water. He stepped on a metal pole and got a pole through the foot, and we had to take him to hospital. So it's not always the rocks and the reef that are going to cut you apart. You just got to be careful when you explore those places. But I think that will do us, man. It's been a lot of fun. I'm not sure what's going to happen over the next few weeks. I'm hoping to do a Between the Sets episode next week with Owie. We might have to do that via satellite. We might have to get the old Zoom out or Skype or something like that, get the old ISDN line fired up. But for now, we got to get out of here. Do it again real soon. Lukey boy, do you know the sign-off?
Oh, it's always overhead when you're body surfing.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Catch you later. Bye.